False doctrine in the church are preparing people to spend eternity in hell. One of the first false doctrines I experienced became huge 40 years ago, the prosperity gospel. Along with it came the name it, claim it movement. This teaching says if you are a believer, you can have anything you want. They took scripture out of context. Here's an example. They'll use John 15:7. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, you can ask what you desire and it shall be done for you. Further scripture tells us whatever you ask in God's will be done. Name it, claim it is a false doctrine which basically reduces God to a genie. Bishop A. Ray Rowson once said, God is not a genie in a bottle. I have witnessed firsthand the casualties of name it, claim it, blab it, grab it, dating back nearly 40 years. I knew one person who was told to lay hands on the house he and his wife wanted. It didn't matter if they could afford it or not. Now, while God may perform miracles and open doors like that, it must be God's doing and not man commanding God. So he and his wife claimed it. They purchased a huge, beautiful home, but they couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford to put furniture in it. Eventually, they lost the home. During the 1980s, when things like that would happen, people were made to feel like they just did not have enough faith. Here's one more example. A young man joined a mega church steeped in the prosperity gospel, and if I call the name of that pastor, just about every one of you would know who I'm talking about. That church focused their offering message on 100-fold blessing. Now, here's a side note. You can receive a 100-fold blessing. It is scripture. But here's the key. In everything we do, God looks at our motives. It is written in James 4:3, New King James Version. You ask and do not receive because you ask amiss that you may spend it on your pleasures. The King James Version calls it lust. Scripture doesn't say a financial 100-fold return. So that return could mean favor, good health, spiritual breakthrough. It could come in the form of any number of things. God is sovereign. He is God and we are not. So anyway, this young man poured his finances into that ministry, expecting to get back 100 times the money he invested. Listen, invested in that church. When this young man did not receive 100 times the amount of money he put into that church, he said, you know what? This doesn't work. So he quit going to church. Don't just read the Bible, study the Bible. Then when you see false doctrine, false prophets, false teachers, and so forth, you can recognize them.